Okay. Let's see. I don't want to do full screen, but that might be better. I don't want to do full screen, but I don't think I need to hear myself. So whenever somebody comes on, if they can let me know, make sure you can hear me, I'd appreciate it. Because doesn't do me much good to do this if you can't hear me. I don't need my speaker on. All right, can you hear me? Pretty sure I have chat on. There we go. Ha ha, yay, you can hear me, yay. I'm telling you, it's been so long since I've done this. That trying to get everything set up was, yeah, huge learning curve. So anyway, feel free to start asking questions at any point. I'm going to hit record even though I'm pretty sure it records me on the YouTube. Not the YouTube. So welcome to my studio. I decided to have someone hopefully join me tonight as I sat and worked. Sorry, getting texts from people that should know better. All right. So I have a few things to work on tonight. One of them is a, let's see, shaped ornament. And yes, I'm starting about 9 minutes early because, well, I just wasn't sure it was going to work at all. So, yeah. Okay. So this little guy was a student's piece when I was teaching in Larchmont, and she was having a hard time because her hands don't work quite the same way anymore. And so I told her that I would bring it back and finish it for her. So that's one of my things I've got to get done. One of many things I have to get done. And okay. So I've already put the feasible interfacing on, and we have our little Santa. I'll do my best to try to keep everything in shot. It's kind of hard because I have the feed with the delay on it, and then I have the camera to the side that doesn't. So we worked on doing the darts in the shaped piece, and the key to doing darts where there's a deep V, you've got to cut right up in there and not care if it's going to shred away. This is actually a pretty good learning piece because what you will see is that she did a lot of long stitches on the edge. And I'm pretty pleased with how, I mean, they're basically all long stitches. So I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. So one of the things that we do is we dart all the way around, all these deep V's. See how many we have here? We have 3 tabs per, 4 tabs on that one. And that's because if you want a finer curve, you have to do more darting, okay? And what we do for shapes to be able to get the shape is we steam it. We put the tabs around. I get my lovely trusty iron and I steam these down, okay? Like this. And of course, my iron doesn't have any water in it because I just took it out from teaching in a class. So, what happens is to get the correct shape, you have to have it all the way turned around, and then you're going to get your shape by getting a piece of foam core and a mechanical pencil. I gotta get a mechanical pencil that doesn't have this weird heavy plastic, because that adds a little bit of space between. And so what you do, see, if you try to do it like this and trace around it like this, and then you cut it out, well, you'll see. I'm just going to do it. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. I will try to keep up with paying attention. All right. So you don't want to go, let me move over a little. The angle that I'm holding it at, is the pencil at, isn't straight up and down because of this silly extra plastic pencil bit, faux wood. Okay, so what you have to do is just angle it just slightly. So that it doesn't go too big. And you don't want the lead out too much because you don't want the lead to run along your stitches. Okay. Okay, so it's face down, right? Stitches down. All right, so I personally just take this and come in the 1/8 of an inch. The reason we come in an 1/8 of an inch is because it is an 1/8 of an inch thick piece of board. So when you're doing the board, or say you're doing puff, then you're going to have to make it in even smaller. Okay? But here's the trick on how to do an 1/8 of an inch if you don't want to eyeball it. Okay? This is my favorite trick of like all time, I think. Okay? This is an 1/8 of an inch thick. Okay? So what we do is you just line it up with the edge like this, trying to make sure you can see it. And then go tick, tick, and you just make little dots, little slash marks all the way around, and you'll never be too close. All right, so that's how you get your 1/8 of an inch in. When we're doing circle ornaments, we choose an 1/8 of an inch smaller round template because it's round and we need it perfectly round. So we're going to use a perfectly round template. Let me see. Usually when you watch my videos, I videotape them on my laptop. Because I feel like the OBS program, live stream program that I'm using to be able to do this doesn't give me as, you don't get the 4K kind of clarity because it's streaming, but this will have to do. So we're going to go all the way around. And so this side, when we cut it, will be the most perfect cut, okay? Just like when we do the rounds, because, well, anytime you're cutting on foam core, because of that silly bevel that I do that is magic for when you have big gutters. All right, so I'm going to take off the majority like that. All right, and we're going to cut the inside that we traced. So as we're cutting this, our blade is gonna, our tip is gonna either maybe go slightly in or slightly out. So this particular line, this side is the side that is going to be the most perfect cut, right? But if we don't put it stitches side down, what happens is when we go to put this inside of our ornament, it'll be the reverse. And I have unfortunately done that too many times with candy canes, of all things. Ugh. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut. All right. And don't try to do it all in one go. All right. Because it's too difficult. It's easier to come into the V and pull out that opposite way. Did you get to see that, or did I go off camera? If any of you have done this yourself, finishing that is, what happens is it can be really hard to cut all the way through this. It's actually quite annoying. But it is so much better than trying to cut mat board. At least, my opinion. So I really, so terrible. She's such a lovely woman. And I felt so bad for her in class because she was trying so hard. The round was not a problem, but she is just having issues with being able to get her hands to do what she wants. And so doing this shape that was so, I don't want to say it's a crazy shape because it's not a crazy shape. It's just hard. When you are having issues with whatever you got going on, arthritis, any of those things. So now we're going to bevel it. So one of the things we talk about when I'm teaching classes in person is that I try to tell people to hold it like you would a pencil sharpener blade, which, oof, I see I have schmuck on there. Let's see if a better blade will help. Okay. All right. And they told me it's really quite difficult to see how I'm holding it, but that tip is touching the mat to help give it stability. And anytime I feel like it's gonna popcorn, which is, you can feel it like catch, where it's going to kind of chunk the foam core. And I just kind of give it a little saw in and out to get it started again. And it's such a gentle, you're letting this blade pull through instead of trying to force it. And that can be really hard to just let the blade work for itself. And you can see when I'm working around it, I'm not trying to, because it's just too difficult. And then people get frustrated and for some reason I want to say her name was Anne. I could be wrong. Okay, so now I'm gonna put that down. I'm just burnishing this edge. I'm not pressing it flat. I'm holding it at like a 45-degree angle just to knock down the high spots. All right. And there. All right, let's see how it fits. Okay. Anybody doing any finishing of their own right now? Give me a shout out. What projects have you got going on that you might have some questions about? Hold on a second. Can you take that outside? All right. So, here we go. Sliding that in like that. And this is always the fun part where you can never. So we're doing, so Anne wants to be able to finish a gusseted stand-up. Okay, we can do that. We can talk about that and we can use this as an example. All right. So when you're doing a gusseted stand-up, you at least have to have you're going to do your front the exact same way as you would do this. Okay, you have to make sure that you can wrap this around. You want to hide your sins now, okay? So that you don't see, make sure my glue gun's on high. So if it's a, and is it a box stand-up you're doing, or is it a shaped, where you need to, any of these deep V's like this, you need to do them first. I try to do them first, okay? Sometimes you see me going around and they might not be in order. So I'm going to get this side set, anchored. Then I'm going to come to this side and get this side glued so that it's anchored. All right. Oh, the little Peeps bunny. Aren't those cute? So Anne Hightower is saying she wants to do a little stand-up, and it's a shape. So the shape box. So if you watched my champagne bottle video that I made into a ornament, but you do it basically the exact same way. So I'm anchoring the opposite side because this is my deepest side here. So on the Peep Bunny, did you do extra rows around it so that it was a little gentler shape to follow around, or are you finishing it where it is the exact shape of the painted area? Because for your first time, it might be a little easier if it had the gentle, but I'm way out of camera. Sorry, guys. All right. Get all this all the way around. Oh, so she hasn't stitched it yet. Okay. Well, that's fair. So when you're doing this, you do very thin smears of glue. I have asbestos thumbs. Do not do what I do. Okay. And I do have the silicone fingertips for my students now so that they don't burn themselves, but those silicone fingertips are not that easy sometimes because they don't let you grab and pull, because you need to pull the face of this taut All right. Do a big area this time so we can get this going. So if in the areas that might have the deep V's, I think it's by the neck, maybe the peak of the ears of the peep bunny. All right. You might want to put a couple stitches in, just enough that so that it's not like a super deep V. But it is not a have to, because as you can see, a lot of my tabs here, because I don't want a lot of extra bulk around the edge when I'm doing this, because then it's just a bigger gutter to have to go and deal with. Okay. Ow. Like that. Okay, so can you see how this pulled? Those long stitches pulled right around, so we have to be very careful to pull those back up. Okay. And that happens when I'm trying to, you know, manipulate that and pull it taut. All right. Okay. So with the bunny, so the thickness of the foam that you use in between, that is going to, oh, I do have glue there already. To me, I feel like the thickness of that foam all depends on how big the piece is. And you can't make it too skinny, because what happens is that your little bunny will fall over. So, you don't need that. You don't want that, where you're constantly, you walk past it and he goes, ah, and just passes out and falls over backwards. The slightest breeze and it just falls over. That's no good. Ow. That's what happens when you use your finger that you don't usually use to push the glue around. Okay. So, let me see. So you have some options for a peep bunny or anything that is, yeah, you could do it with him. So this one is, they call it 2 inches. And what you would do is, I don't think I have a piece that's big enough for this particular Santa to show you, but you're going to just lay this down, and I know what you're going to say. Don't do this. trust me, is you're going to say, well, why don't I trace the back piece now? Don't do that. Because what happens is you trace this, you cut it the best that you can. The back side might be a little bit smaller. So you trace the back side of what you cut to make the back piece so that you're not having to have like a little lip that sticks out further, because then the second part really doesn't work. So how do you cut styro this thick? Let me see, do I have? I do have a piece. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay. Okay, so this foam is an inch and a half. Yes. So it might be a little bit better for this size of a piece. Yeah, that is. So this is purple foam insulation that they use in houses. And it's really interesting because you wouldn't think to use it. I find I get a lot of things from hardware stores instead of purchasing it at the craft store, because this will it's not any easier to cut. And you do have to watch out. These are, that is the score line that goes all the way through. And they do that so that the construction guys can just kind of break it off. And it breaks a whole giant sheet into, I think, thirds, because it comes in 4 foot by 8 foot sheets. But they do also get, they do have like little 2 by 2 sheets and a little stand off to the side as well. So now that I realize this isn't a cut, isn't that funny? So I was using this as a thing to paint my buoys on, so I stuck all of the sticks in this side. So let me see. So let's do this. Okay, so now we're going to take this, your pencil again. Now, I think I would do this almost straight up and down. Okay. And I want to look at, because this wasn't meant to be this way, you might have to, you won't definitely need a flat enough area at the bottom to be able to have a spot where you can have your stand. Now you could do this where you made the entire thing the exact correct shape and then took one of those card holders, name tag holders at a wedding that are like little wire spirally looking things. So it has a little spiral at the bottom, and then it just has a straight wire coming up out of it, and then it goes to like a loop. Well, you just cut the loop off. and then you could push that metal piece up in so it would hold it. So it's like a little pseudo pedestal piece, but not really going to use the pedestal part. So let's pretend we're doing that. Okay. So we're going to hold the I'm going to do it straight up and down. Because I'm pretty sure I don't want to go too far under. And the reason I don't want to do that is it would make your center insert piece too small. Okay. And we can always push the edges in with your hand or with like the edge of a pencil, but we'd have to cut a whole nother piece if we cut it too small. So let's see, did I get all of the spots? I did. Of cutting the styro out. Now I have the interior pieces for my lobster trap, and for these I used to use a hot wire cutter that was like a little pedestal, you know, looked like a 90-degree angle. But it started getting kind of annoying because the perpendicular wire wasn't staying straight. So the way I always used to do it is I just try to hold my X-Acto blade perfectly straight, and I do little tiny chops up and down. Okay. Now, I also have these retractable box cutters. They do work. They do tend to, when you're trying to go through the really thicker stuff, you got to make sure they're really sharp to go through. Now, I've broken this off so many times that it's not a very long blade. But you can get them so that those box cutters are huge. And you can just sit and chick, right? But what I end up having to do for something like this, because I can't go like with this. So this is basically what I did in that bottle, if I remember right, the bottle video. Okay. And if you want, you could put another piece of foam underneath it so that you can go a little bit deeper and not have an issue. It'll cut straight through because it can cut right down past into that styro, right? All right, let's see how this did. And that's pretty darn good. I mean, can't ask for much better. With this particular, this is also a type of foam that is used for housing insulation. It's just better than what you can find at the craft stores because it doesn't popcorn as much. As I'm sitting here with it on my hands, you know, I'm not saying it's not gonna at all, but there are some that it's just like, it's ridiculous. And you can't use certain glues on them, which can also be really annoying. because it'll melt it, depending on the kind that you get. You always have to test. So, but for the majority of, if you watch the bottle video, you'll see when you go to put, this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, because we're going to wrap a piece of fabric around a piece of cardboard to be able to get those curves that you need for going around, say, you know, the Santa face, like his beard, right? To be able to come up, and then you're gonna bend your cardboard piece and put a little crease there, and then go around and then go around. This one is a bit extreme. I would not recommend that you do it for your very first one. Do something that's a little simpler, like the bottle, or like the bunny. He's perfect because he's not overly curvaceous. Unlike Beardy Boy here, who really has a lot going on. But I'm still going to try it. Okay? So I'm going to try to crack this and get that seal that I was talking about to break. Okay, that's because it had that scoring there. Alright. And then it's actually pretty, this one's pretty good. It doesn't popcorn as much, but you can tell that it does have a grain to it. You wouldn't think that styrofoam has a grain, but when it's being manufactured, it definitely does. Yeah, I definitely would have chosen to get a box cutter that's longer if I had thought about it. You can use a mini saw, and I do have one of those. I have a little jigsaw, and I have a little bandsaw that keeps it perfectly perpendicular. And I don't even think if you use those, you're not going to have an issue with having to fine tune it even. You'd probably use your finger or the edge of, if you have a smooth edged X-Acto knife, to just press it around, because you can see that I'm already having issues trying to use this because the blade is way too short. So, but I'm going to try, okay, because I have done it before. Back in the day when I didn't have one of these. Oh, hold on. I know what I forgot. Here we go. All right. Hang it off the table a little. Let's see if I can do this and still make sure you can see it without hitting the camera. And right now we're just trying to like I said, not necessarily going to be a totally perpendicular at this moment. We're just trying to get the majority of it off. I try to do things for you where we use tools that aren't going to cost you a lot of money necessarily. And again, it's not that the hot wire worked beautifully. It's just the one that I had was not fabulous. It just was not. And this blade is so thick, it doesn't move easily through there. Okay. So when you're doing things like this, you want to, just like I was showing you before, you come in to the V. So that lovely piece of cardboard, what it's going to do is it's going to give you that lovely edge that this styrofoam might be warped and not doing what you want it to do. It doesn't have little beautiful perfect edge, but that doesn't matter. So now I can kind of come in, because that cardboard's going to lift it up off of there. It's so funny that, so everybody wants to learn how to do the gusseted or the shaped pieces. It's really just like an Oreo cookie. I mean, you're just doing a front, doing a back, and not getting yourself too crazed about it, hopefully. But again, like I said, this is why we have to, even with that, using a machine that would make it perfectly perpendicular, you still don't want to do the back until after. Oh, that reminds me. Always, 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 we always mark front. So, I used to have the hand wire. Oh, gee, maybe I should use that. I have a hot, X-Acto knife. And that attaches to a wood burning tool. And boy, it definitely melted like butter. But woo, what a stink. That's the other problem with doing the heat, is the fumes are dangerous. And so I have to do those outside. I'm sure after growing up on a farm in the 80s that I wasn't always aware of all of the stuff that I was breathing in. That wasn't great for me. So now I try not to do that. And I don't want you guys doing that either. Try to keep our lungs from being ugly. Come on. So because there's nothing to lay my hand on, I'm having a difficult time getting that, keeping it steady to make sure that hopefully I'm getting it right way up. 90 degrees, excuse me. Ish. 90-ish. Because that one didn't feel like it. Okay. This is killing me because that other blade works really well. I'm removing just a little bit of this so that maybe I can get in a little bit deeper. You can't flip it over and just, you know, follow some line that's on the back. It's not gonna happen. Ooh. Get smart, Kelly. That'll help slightly. Not a ton, but slightly. I know, it's laborious torture watching me just digging away at this thing, but when you don't have the right things and you're trying to just make it work, have a make it work moment, you just keep going at it. Because then I can try to use that tool again and have the majority of it have gone around. Sorry if I'm off camera. All right. This definitely wasn't the easiest one to show you on, Anne, but I think everybody, I've been seeing lots of posts asking for it. And so essentially, we will just take the time to do it. If I try, see how that breaks away? I don't want to try to go too deep with it because then I'll lose my edge, right? Let's see, they're both about the same. And see if we can do this so I don't have to keep worrying about. I know, you guys are, it's torturous trying to watch me do this. Like that. Okay. I want to hold it like this so I can kind of see it. Okay. I'm going to pop that off. So you take some off a little at a time, and we're going to do exactly what Julie was talking about, where we're going to have to fine tune this with our X-Acto. Yeah, because right there isn't going to be lovely. But at least we can take some bigger chunks off. I feel like and I drink. That's pretty typical. Let me see how I can do this way, because I feel like I'm gone. Oh, these little tiny curves. Next time I'll be more prepared and have not such a difficult piece to try to show you this on. But you can do it. And because we did the majority of it ahead of time, because I got it extra long eventually with the moving the blade. Take that off. Then what happens is that you're just kind of taking the last little vestige that's at the bottom. It's not horrible. Yeah, it is totally horrible. Alright, I'm just going to keep going, guys, and then I can show you, you'll know what not to do. That's pretty typical of me. Okay. Oh, I hope you're hanging in there, Anne. Okay, so you can see that this, I can see that this is definitely not 90-degree angles. You need to get a blade that you're going to have that's a little thinner and more stable to be able to do this. But what we are going to do, again, is that make it work moment, okay? And by that, I mean, I'm going to do something I don't do. I'm going to copy the back side of this by just doing a trace around. But I am going to do slightly inward because I know that that back, it'll be too huge of a gap. So when I'm doing it, scooch this over here because I can see that it's... Alright, so I'm going to hold my pencil at a little angle in. Because it'll be too big if I don't. The back side will be way too big if I don't make it a little bit smaller. It'll still look like it's right, okay? Okay. So now we're going to do this back the same way. I like showing you when I have these issues because it shows you that there is no one right way, that we can make this work even if we don't have the right tools that are gonna just make it this perfect. So much in the world, so not perfect. Now, I have to pull my blade back in because it definitely won't love that. And because I am doing it this way and not tracing the other piece, back side of the foam to get our shape, I can still finish. That's good, Julie, because Julie said, I like the adaptability. Well, there are too many. These are all like puzzles. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing this. There's always something. It's always something. And since we are doing it this way, I will be able to use this piece on the back side to finish this ornament for this lovely woman. So I'm still getting done what I need to get done, even though we are explaining how to do a stand-up. Now, if she sees this video, she might go, well, why didn't you just do it as a stand-up for me? Which I wouldn't mind. She's so sweet. It's interesting. People take, they'll take my class in person and they'll do like 2 classes in a row. We'll do like a morning with rounds and then we'll do shape class in the afternoon. But we do so much and it's so, and she actually had taken class before. But boy, if you don't touch on it as soon as you take the class, it's amazing how much you forget. I know for myself, there are so many times I walk out of a room and I forgot what I was going to get. So, I totally understand why they don't always recall. What's next? Okay, if you want really thin profile front and back, then you might want to use mat board. I still find that mat board's very difficult to work with. Instead of doing the 1/8 inch in to accommodate for the foam core, you're going to just make it, you know, a 1/16 of an inch. I think that foam is going to my nose. Either that or the heat turned on so it's blowing it around. So give me a second to bevel this. Because you really are just making an ornament and putting a large piece of foam in between. You'll find that the majority of the things that I do is all based in the same steps. Now, I personally, I like the dimension that the foam core gives to a box stand-up. I did, you could also use the really heavy interfacing instead of using foam core to go in there. Because you're going to have this piece of styro on the inside, so why not? You could do that. All right, I gotta bevel this down. Okay, get that edge off. Typically we would put a piece of felt underneath this piece of material so that you can't feel the bevel part of it. I wish I could fit 2 of these on here, but I don't think I can. So we'll just kind of try to center the one Santa. Okay. And yeah, this is exactly what you do for your, I'm trying to keep it centered-ish. One of the things that I learned when I was teaching this, teaching ornaments in class, is that we need to stabilize. When you cut your darts in this, I'm pushing this fabric up. You want to stay 1/8 of an inch away from that foam core, because if you don't, what happens is it will, you'll see if you hold it like this and go way in 1/8 of an inch in, it's deceptive because that you have to accommodate the bevel when you're doing it as an ornament style, like what we're doing here. If you had just mat board in, you don't really have to do that. So we're going to do this deep V first. And our fabric is, it has a little more stretch to it, and that's why we let it have that extra pull, that little bit extra of, sorry. Aw. Grandbaby picture, sorry. He's apparently sleeping through the Super Bowl. All right. So now I'm going to go to the opposite side. And I do that because if I can get this set so that I know the darts aren't going to shift and go too deep on one side. During classes, we have a thing where, you know, your hand gets tired, you pick it up, you put it down, and yeah, then the darts go too deep, and that's why we ask people to bring, that's why we ask them to bring 2 fabrics to class, because we don't want them to be unhappy with what they've done. And if you've come too close to the edge, when you fold this, bring this over, what will end up happening is you'll see a tick mark where you cut on that edge. So I try to take out 1, 2, 3, 4. You take out 4 of the triangles to leave 3 tabs, and then just the middle one. Now, I know I didn't do that on the curves, but you can't do that on the curve because the deep V has to go right where that deep point is, okay? Now I'm just gonna keep cutting my way around, and then we will deal with this monstrosity and see what we have to take off or not take off because we went a little too deep. I tell people to not do exactly what I'm doing, which is to cut darts all the way around, to do them in small sections to make it so that if you, on curves like this, if you cut, if you get all of these outer parts cut, darted and tabs over, and you leave the V's for the last, what ends up happening is that you end up with not enough stretch in the fabric to come in. It's just better to get those deep V's in first before you do any of the outer points. Hope that made sense. Okay, sorry, now I'm a snuffleupagus because I sneezed. Smear it on, keep that glue thin so you do not hurt yourself. And I'm pulling that really taut so that it doesn't buckle back here. And as you're pulling, if you just keep pulling as you go around, you won't get those hard buckles in these deep V's, because it does have a propensity to do that. Because you try not to go too deep in there, but doesn't always work. It still wants to bend more in that deep V. Oh my gosh, I have a sliver in my finger and it is not loving me. All right. How did it get to be 7 o'clock already? I'll tell you how. Styrofoam. Using tools that don't always expedite things. That's how. All right. And pull it. And pull it. These are the parts that make you crazy. Do I have... Oh dear, do I have poster board? Well, if I don't have poster board, I will find some cardstock. Just has to have enough body to hold it straight. And when I'm saying that, it's from edge to edge. And if we have to put some support underneath it, and yes, I am gluing right into that V. Okay. All right. The more darts you do in these areas, the more refined your curve will be. Okay. All right. Come on, stay down. Almost there, guys. Whether it's an ornament or it is this, where you're doing a boxed piece. Ooh, did I get too close? So if you get too close, just remember your fabric, you can grab it and pull it a little and pull that dart in that you maybe cut too close. All right, on the home stretch. Ooh, I love my little nippy scissors. They are wonderful. All right. Now, and smear it thin. Right. So since I don't have the same fabric, okay, now we know that this is the front because it's got the, and then I put the back on the front. All right. So here is, woof, get back up there. Okay, like this. Now, I'm kind of using my finger to manipulate the high points. So this isn't going to be as horrible as thought. The only one we're going to have to take is that one down more. Now I can see that the angle of this is definitely not perfect, but I'm not going to worry about that right this second. Okay, so you need to, I'm going to put a smear there. I'm going to center it the best that I can. hope it sticks. Oh, you bugger. So, interestingly, definitely should put it on that edge. Okay. But it's going to take a minute to cool its little glue. Interesting. All right, while that's dry, let's take a look at how far off this is. Woo, a lot. Okay. So you can see how much gap between the styro and there. Okay. But wait, there's tricks. Okay. I'm going to take this and go like this. All right. And again, we're going to try to center it on all the parts that are kind of out at the correct size. Okay? Okay. Now, pardon me. So this is probably the only reason, oh my gosh, I am covered in this purple stuff. Let's see what's in the big red box that we can use. We don't want it too thick, and it's a little warm already. And it has to be enough material to fit all the way around. I think I'm asking for troubles if I use that. Oh, moire. Of course it's the perfect color, and that's all I have of it. I'll keep digging. Any other pieces that are nice and long in here? You have to have a piece that is long enough to go all the way around that edge. And that is like my last vestige of this moire. Not even close. Okay. I have way too much fabric. Christmas stuff in there. Alright, what do I got? That might be cute. In here. Maybe. Not quite. So, a friend of mine gave me all her quilting material because she's not doing it anymore. And it's moments like this where I'm very grateful. Nope. She has so many batiks, but trying to find one that's gonna work isn't always that easy. Alright. Maybe we do try that one. Well, that's the right color of his hat. There. Ooh, but do we have enough to go all the way around? I don't think we do. Dang it! Oof. Wait. Oh. Come on. Cheese and crust, no. Yeah. Ha ha. Is that the same stuff? Not quite. Yeah. You think you got it going on with what you're doing. Oh, boy. That's pretty close. Not fabulous for cha-cha-ness. Oh, there you go. There we go. Why didn't I grab the ultra suede in the first place? Okay. And I know I got plenty of that. Ooh. Now the only thing with this is that it has a direction. So how do we combat that? Oh, we make it so. Goes from front to back. So we're going to begin and end this. Whoop. Almost caught my. I tried to pick which way was up and which way was down. Boy, this is staticky stuff. Okay. So now I'm going to take, of course I can't find it, a string. Because I can't find my cloth tape. I'm going to go around the edge to measure how long of a piece of cardboard do I need. And we're doing it around the front because that is the correct size. And now I started it approximately in the middle of that. So let's look. Wow, it's like exactly 17 inches. Okay. Okay. Let me go find a piece of cardboard that is 17 inches. Oh dear. So this is a 13 by 19 sheet of paper. We are going to attempt to find my, I know where it is. Okay, so here's my quilting ruler. Up, up. Okay. And we like the quilting ruler because everything is nice and square. So we know that I am measuring between the front and the back. We actually want this 5/8 of an inch to be able to get right up on this edge. Okay, so you can see we got some areas that we're going to have to put potentially a little fill in of some kind so that it doesn't go concave in those spots. But because as we go around, 1 and do it from this end where I can see the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. And I don't care if it wants to shift. Right. We're going to come down here to, I'm going to do 17 and an eighth. Because I'd rather have too much cardboard than not enough. Okay. So now you're going to take your material. You definitely want to have it so that you're not going to completely close off the opposite end. So you'll do a finish end on one end and one end that you can peel open and cut the cardboard back if you need to. Okay. Sorry. So then what you're going to do is you're actually just going to cover this completely. And I'm going to use, I'm going to move it down, up, so you can see it. Okay. So I'm going to use, you don't want to use any fabric that's going to be too heavy, because then what happens is that when the heaviness and you turn it over to wrap it around your piece, it's way too much. Okay. I just cut through one of my very good bandages. Nice. So if you know that you have hard, deep V's to get into and you're concerned, you may want to bend it prior as you go around. Oh dear. I lost you all. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. All right. All right. Now I'm going to push this. You got to push this. So this is like 90 pound something or other cardstock. Hi, Jane. Nice to meet you from Charlotte. My daughter's about to move down there with that beautiful grandbaby of mine. So you might be seeing me down at a store in your area teaching classes so that I can go and visit her. So you push it so that this is nice and taut as you're going. Right? Well, I need to find a place to be able to teach down there. So what I'm going to do, don't roll that cardstock edge, but you've got to be able to pull that nice and tight. It's like beat the clock. That's the problem with hot glue, is that even though this is high temp, it's a problem. It just loves to go, I'm so cold. I can't stick to nothing no more. I think that's going to be me soon, because we're supposed to get a nor'easter day before Valentine's Day. Okay. All this schmutz all over the place. Okay, dokie. Let's, you know, I probably should have checked to make sure my cardboard went all the way around before I glued this on. All right. Now, one of the things you can do is you can also spray your cardstock or your cardboard, poster board, with 3M. Hold on. Because the multi-purpose adhesive, so you spray the one side of the poster board, you lay it on. I think that's what I did for the piece that we did on the champagne bottle. There we go. I got it out. Okay. So then you're just going to start working your way around your piece. Now, we have issues on this bottom, right? We know this. There's a huge void there. So what do? Well, we can get some felt. So this just happens to be one of the felt pieces I put up in my other stuff. My toppers. There you go. I got it out. In a perfect world, I would have done better with that. But as long as it has some support at this bottom, shouldn't be too horrible. We're going to just take that little bit. Okay, like that. I'm trying to fill that one really deep. It's pretty bad. Now, if you also have this issue, maybe you take and make it a little bit thicker so that instead of it just meeting, it actually comes out even further. Now, I say that and I go, oh, silly Kelly, you forgot. So I'm going to glue that spacer in. Right. Throw on a little there, like that. So these don't need to be super hard edges. This is why we love the bevel, okay? We're going to bend this edge in slightly, not a lot, just to help us meet that other edge. Now, I don't know you can see how that works, but okay. So I'm going to start here, okay? I gotta get my, excuse my arm there. So, right here is a bend, okay? So I am going to take, sorry, this, and I'm gonna lay it so it's square all the way down. I gotta move it up above the little inset thing. All right. Okay. So like that, right? And then we're gonna just gently give us a little dent there, okay? So that it's just slightly, because we don't need it to be too hard. And next time I'll be a little more careful and not crush that as much. So then we line it up like that. Put that I'm just catching that fabric. I'm trying not to bend that down in too much. Okay? So, again, this time I think I'm just going to try to do it with my hands. this. Okay. And again, this is where our next dip is. So I'm going to put my thumb there and try to make sure no bend right there. Kind of lucky that these aren't too deep. Now we're about to get up to some spots that are a little deeper. Right about now, I'm definitely debating on whether or not I should be smearing this with some glue. Okay, I have plenty to go around this. All right. So the issue with this is with doing the glue smear would be that if I put the Fabri-Tac on this, I'd only be able to put it on the high side that was closest, because some of these areas are so far away that there's nothing there to support them, right? So with this one, that void, I'm going to, what do I do with, okay, I gotta go find a piece of felt. Wow, so full of, okay. At least it's close enough that I'm not gone that long. All right, so I think this is actually a little bit of fleece, like that really nice polar fleece. So this time, when I do this, and I'm trying to fill that, I'll cut it a little shorter. So if you do this with the hot glue to a regular piece of styrofoam, it just melts straight through. That's why I do like this styro, because of that. Interestingly enough, it does not like solvent-based, so I'm a little concerned. But this is a bit of a high spot, so we might be okay. This glue is so good. I know there are a lot of people out there that are like, glue, no! Can't do stuff like this without it. Alright, so we're going to pin these down. I think after all this, I'm going to send this to my lovely friend just like it is. And not... She came to make it as an ornament just because I wasn't teaching this class. Alright, so now we have that spacer in there, right? I'm going to do glue on every pin. Ridiculous. So I went out a little bit further with that pin, than I normally do. Not trying to get that hard line down here. It just needs to kind of emulate it for this area. I might come back under it. I don't know. And put glue. But like I said, it's kind of a problem when some of the stuff isn't there, the styro, because of how I cut it. So I might be picking this back up as I go along. Now you can get if you had sprayed it with the spray glue before you put the material on, it would definitely give it a crisper look in this area. The actual thickness of the ultra suede lends itself to a less refined edge. Okay. We did pretty well on this area. Now, why am I going so far ahead? Well, it's pretty easy. Because this styro really is pretty close to where we need it to be, right? So we're just going to lay, got a little thumb, this right down. Now, I said that, but look, we have a little gapping because it's not perfectly square. Do we care? No, we don't. We don't. We're fine. Again, another make it work moment. Alright, so we need to take this piece and put a little bend where the ball and his hat is. Oh no, that's his, that's his stash. Sorry. So what I think is throwing off, there we go, was the front part was a little too high. So just using your thumb, you mash it down. Mash it down. Any place where you have that inward V. Is where you're going to pin it. We're just going to put a pin in it and come back to that later. Discuss the emotion, how we feel. I am feeling pretty good about this. Unless it ends up short, because I'm looking at it going, please don't end up short, after I just went, yeah, we got this. It's not going to be short. I think we're okay. All right. We're going to have to put multiple pins in to keep this as the curve, so it doesn't pop up. There. And there. Okay. Turn it around. I think I need a couple more right there. Pretty happy with this. Again, I think I'd like to use like a nice silk that bends a little better. But that being said, this is pretty nice. Now, you can see that is sticking out a little bit. So you know what we're going to do? Mash it down. Smash it. Just smash it down. That glue is getting nice and tight. Now we have a gap here again. So let's grab a little bit of this. And maybe just that little piece. Yeah, I think we're okay there. But we're going to put them down low. Okay, and now I think I'm going to take my finger and push those in a little. I think one more. Wasn't sure I was going to be able to teach something like this in a regular class, like in person, because 90% of the people out there are not going to be ready to battle the curved needle. But the way that we're doing it, we have the option of not having to sew the edges. Oof, it's sticking to me. So let's get that pulled down in. Like that. Definitely need better bend. pushing it and bending it. And no, I don't think it's going to bend too much. Now, if you wanted to, you could overlay a piece of ribbon to fancy up this edge. You could go right around with it. Okay, now we're going to come back, and here's our next deep bend. Take it, go like that, bend it, try to get it nice, deep. Sorry, going off camera again. All right. So then that comes in like deepest spot. Okay. I would just like to thank everyone for hanging in with me. Okay. So you want to keep going around and just touch, 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 touch. Keep trying to get that contact with the glue that we just have been smearing on as we go. All right. Now we're going to end it right there. So we want to do a nice bend back a little bit further. So here's pin. You see that big old goober of glue on that pin? So ridiculous. Now, we have so many options. So we're going to lift this up because we didn't have any glue there, right? We're going to put a little smear again. All right. And pin Galileo. And take that, kind of cram it without losing my stitch, like that. And pin that under. Now I'm going to do the other side down. Okay. So now take this, put a marker pin so I know where I'm going to cut the cardboard here. Yes, I'm pulling this open again, peeling that glue off. And why am I doing this? Well, I need to finish this end. And it means I have to take out this cardboard. Okay. All right. Now, before we do that, where did I start to do gluing? There. Okay. If I knew that this fabric wouldn't leave a hole. Robin, oh, silly. So I used Ultra Suede. I think it's really hard to use a pattern on an edge because, especially for your first attempt. It just, matching patterns and everything else starts to go a little wonky. I think the Santas would have been okay, but right. Dart, staying away again. Cannot use these scissors. And this ultra suede from faux ultra suede from Joann's can be can like to leave little fray marks when you cut it. It starts to fray. So you definitely want to keep it away from that edge. Bring that down. Make that nice pretty end. Well, sort of pretty. See, mucked it up. Don't worry, you won't see it. So now I have to contact this lady and see if I get to keep it like this or if I'm making it into taking this all apart and making it into the ornament that she thought it was going to be. Nope, I didn't do that corner. Okay. Oh dear. I cut it too short. Just. Oh my gosh. That is way too close for comfort. Oh. Robin, stop laughing. So Robin is my helper when I teach standard classes. And she is also a finisher. And she is not funny. She's totally funny, but still. Not even sure how that happened. Yeah, I am. I totally know how it happened. Yeah, pull harder, right? Yeah, Robin. The problem is that the ebb and flow of those curves makes it even shorter. So the next thing, I can't really do the cording until all of this sits overnight because I really need this to glue down. There. We will never know about it. Oh. So I'm going to tack these down in an effort to hopefully, okay, that one's okay. So I would not cord. So you have a few options. Thank you, Robin. See, this is why you needed to be here and not watching that game. Silly, silly girl. All right. So you see how tight this is? You really don't need um, the cording. So this, I would make it, this was for her, this was for her ornament. Okay, so this is, I believe, 13 and 13. Isn't that what we do? Or no, it's 10 and 10. So it's going to be way, not way too thick, but for the whole reason we cord is to hide sins. Okay, so I mean, it's not horrible, but we could also go over here. Let's see. So there's okay. So everybody's kind of seen the little poofy things that you can do. This stitch, come on, honey, stay up. This is our nemesis, the long stitch. Okay. So, you know, you could do a little puff thing around the edge. But what I would probably do is find a color of a flat trim piece, okay, that you can just lay on the edge like that, okay. The flatness of it lends itself to covering it nicely, having a lower profile. So if you sewed this on, you could get this cinched in really tight and potentially not cord it. But that's that's a tough one. I don't know about that. So I'm noticing that right here it wants to buckle. So I think what's going on here is there's a slight gap. So we're going to take a piece of our felt. We're going to just slide that in there and fill it in a little bit so that it has some support. Okay. Just so that as people touch it, it doesn't leave a crease. Okay. But if you're doing this and you had a piece of nice red flat trim, it could go right along there and you'd never even see it. I have another piece of trim that is, where is it? Who knows in this mess where it is? There it is. Oh, I know what I would probably use. I know. So this is the other trim, okay? And this one is so nice and thin and it just conforms down. So finding just a small piece of flat trim that maybe doesn't have these giant loops on it. Our other option is like my favorite option, but I don't think I have any pieces of it pre-made. Hold on. This is my bucket O trivial things that I keep little bits of and don't throw away. So this is a piece of fuzzy yarn with the red Krynic. This one has a bit of sparkle, still too thick. That could potentially, that size works pretty well. I'm guessing that this is probably 3 and 3. I would do it in a red so it just disappears. So this is just the fuzzy yarn. I still feel like it needs to be twisted. This one's a little thick, and I know I don't have any more of this as just one strand of this twisted with another. But that could be really cute if it was a little bit thinner. I still debate. Red, flat, red on red. Yeah, make it disappear. Don't make it stand out. Okay? And this, because all the pins are there and I can't do it now. I would start my cording down here, come all the way up and around, right? And you're going to marry the two pieces at the bottom. Now, like I said, with this one, there is no real flat spot that we can choose to make it the base. So what we're going to do, I could maybe make one out of wire, but I am going to, if you Google them on place card holders on Amazon, you can find ones that have like a little foot. It can be like clear acrylic at the bottom and then have a wire going up from it. And that's probably what I would do with this. And just put a pilot hole in and just set it right on. So then you have this really cute little stand-up that's on a pedestal, little bit. So, since I'm not able to do the cording on this, I only went 20 minutes over the 8 o'clock. It's remarkable for me. So, anybody else have any questions about what we've been doing or something else that they wanted to talk about? Please type in now so that, because it'll probably be next week before I can do this again. Pretty pleased with that. I wonder if I have any red in here that would work. This is 321, and that's pretty close. Yeah. Not sure if I have any very velvet to use for this. And then if you wanted to, you could make a little fuzzy bow, but I wouldn't recommend it because it looks kind of weird. But you could take that same fuzzy ribbon and put it over the top. That's a possibility as well. So if she wants to hang it, so Robin asked, what if she wants to hang it? More than likely, I would take it back to a standard ornament or make it much thinner because this is way too thick for hanging. I would use the thinner 3/4 styro. Actually, it looks like a half. Nope, 3/4. When you're doing, if you were going to put something on here to hang it, you went, oh, I don't mind. This is what I do for hangers that are in the middle. I don't like to do the poke straight down through, but you could, like what I did with the other one, where you're going to make a pilot hole in the top. You're going to put your two ends together, tie them together, glue, smash, and then just shove it right down into the pilot hole. That is a possibility. But the other thing that I sometimes do is I go like, I take the two ends, I tie them together, this. Now it's hard with this because it's fuzzy and you have a hard time seeing the ends, but I'm sure you can kind of see it. Come on. And I take a dollop of glue and I smash it that side. I'd trim this down, obviously. Like that. And then I'd smash it with a little bit of glue so I know that it would stay. And it's just one, looks like one continuous now. And then you can just sew it on the top. But if you hung it in the traditional fashion and you did the straight down in, if you did the pilot hole and shoved it in there, then you could do the bead down on, so it would look like it had a little finished top knot to hide the pilot hole that you put in the top. And that's it, my friends. I will sew this by hand together because I don't want this seam to pop over time. Beyond that, that's about it. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go and get some sleep. And maybe we'll do this again next week. Or maybe Thursday. I don't know. What do we say? All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later, Robin. And thanks for getting me started on making this into a boxed stand-up class. Oh, so if you do have the flat edge, okay, and you don't want to do the whole little pedestal-y base kind of thing, what you would do is you would stitch it out so that you have a flattened area at the bottom, okay? You would make a small foam core piece that's square to fit, okay? So you would measure it, you would cut it, okay? It's not gonna quite fit all the way across, but it should extend all the way across this flat area. Then you're gonna bevel it and you're gonna wrap it in fabric, and the bevel side should go in so that all of these edges, I'm off camera, so all of these edges are flush, okay? Then this is your flat base. You may need to hollow out a little spot on the interior of this styrofoam so that you can, let me see, I'm not sure I have them over here right now. Okay, I don't. The weighted nuts, or the weighted bolts. I just use a galvanized steel bolt. Put it up inside, put your bottom up on it. Bob's your uncle, you're done. All right, everyone, you have a wonderful night. And I hope that the team, if you were watching it in between, the team that you wanted to win won. I don't even know if it's done yet or not. So thank you for coming and sitting with me through that. And I look forward to seeing you at the next Q&A. Get your questions ready and we'll see what project we can come up with. All right. Good night, everyone.